Okay, hi guys, we're back again. It's been a while. Life commitments and other things have got in the way. Sorry about that. So this is a little later than we wanted to do. But today we're going to be talking about Avengers Infinity War. But we promise no spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, you don't have to worry. This is more a perspective from someone, people watching, and not giving anything away.
It also guarantees that the video is going to be a lot shorter because
Guarantees.
we can't really say that much. So we might as well jump into it with the plot summary. I'm pretty sure that everyone knows what Avengers is about, but just to recap, this is the event 10 years in the making from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting all the way back in 2008 with Iron Man 1, has now culminated in Avengers Infinity War. Thanos, the big bad that we've seen behind the scenes from the first Avengers film, is now coming to collect the Infinity Stones, and it's up to all of the Marvel characters to stand against him. So we've got Iron Man, we've got Thor, we've got Captain America, we've got Black Panther, we've got Spider-Man, we've got the Guardians of the Galaxy, we've got Hulk, we've got Doctor Strange, we've got pretty much everyone that has had a standalone movie in the last 10 years is present for this. And that's where, almost all, but that's where we kick off with Avengers Infinity War. So what were your overall impressions?
Well, I was surprised. My overarching sense was that this was a very emotional movie. You don't really expect it of a superhero movie, but I found Infinity War to be very sort of heart-wrenching, and it made me feel something. And I think always for me as a film reviewer, I tend to feel more positively about films that make me feel something, that it's not just like visual dazzle or whatever. And this was very much, it's swung you around emotionally. There was humor, there was like tragedy, there were a lot of surprises. So that is what I will always take home from Infinity War, is just how emotional an experience it was.
Yeah, for me, there's one particular scene where, even thinking about it, I'm tearing up again. Hashtag too soon. Will always be too soon. This movie completely turned my world upside down. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, and it seemed so overhyped to me. I was just ignoring the hype train. I was just like, oh gosh, that's going to be another one of those things. But when I actually sat down to watch it, whatever expectations I had were completely blown away. And it's very emotional.
Sorry, Trace.
It's fine. So I will endure. Carry on.
I think also something that I'm very curious to see, sort of as time goes on, the public's reaction to it, because in a way it felt to me a lot like Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which was quite a divisive experience for audiences, whether you're a critic or just an ordinary cinema goer. I felt with this as well, there was a case of people went into the movie with a lot of expectations, like, oh no, this character's going to die, this character's going to stay alive, this is going to happen, this won't do. And I felt that Infinity War was quite similar to the Last Jedi in that regard, in that it completely sort of, there were some fan service moments, but they felt more integrated with the story. But I feel that it really, it took expectation and it veered off in its own direction, and it really, that was something that I'm curious to see how people will respond to that. I
think that the overall response so far has been positive. I know that there will be naysayers, but I don't think that Avengers is going to be as divisive, at least because you have to bear in mind this is only part 1 of 2, so we'll have to see how it concludes before we're able to judge it in that sense, it's different from Star Wars because each of the Star Wars films can be standalone as such. But I think that we're all going to have to wait to see how the rest of it plays out. Even though we are in the end game of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it, there's still more to come. So we'll have to see how it goes. But what did you really like about the film?
Thanos. Thanos was just an absolute highlight for me. If you compare Steppenwolf in Justice League, who was another CGI intergalactic villain coming down to Earth. Now we've had glimpses of Thanos and we know his might, but it was just to finally see him on screen in a motion capture performance by Josh Brolin. I always say Josh Groban.
Josh Brolin. It's not Josh Groban, trust us.
And it was an amazing character. I think for a lot of time we were always sort of the Marvel villains are almost they're what's the term? They're just there.
Second string.
Yeah, they're second string. They're not particularly interesting. It's very often they're probably one of the least interesting things about the movie, although that has changed over time. I think Loki was always a standout. Killmonger was another standout, and here we built up, I feel, almost to Thanos as this character who is just very well realized. They're not just pixels on a screen. They are incredibly emotive and understandable in some ways. I maybe you didn't find him that way, but I certainly was sort of I could understand his motivations. It's not I'm power hungry. He had a very clear agenda, and it comes from tragedy that he has experienced in his life, and it was just an incredibly powerful and weirdly moving performance. This isn't to say, if you Andy Serkis's work in a whole variety of things from Lord of the Rings to the Planet of the Apes, we know that motion capture can be done really well, but to see it in a superhero movie like this with the big bad who could easily have been just this big hulking dude who runs around punching people to take over the galaxy, it wasn't like that at all. It was an amazing performance, and very unexpected.
I think it was his character as well, not just the performance, that he has so many layers and so much depth. Honestly, I can't remember Steppenwolf's motivation from Justice League. It was blah blah, mother box, blah blah, attack things, and that was it. Whereas Thanos had this multi-layered aspect to his character where everything he did had a reason and a motivation and an emotion behind it. So that for me is what sets him completely apart from other movies that we've seen, even staying kind of in the MCU, is what's his name from Age of Apocalypse from the X-Men movies. Terrible. Also, he just kind of stood around and did look menacing, and I was like, how dare you bury Oscar Isaac under so much makeup? How dare you? But yeah, Thanos, as he wasn't just a big bad, he wasn't a MacGuffin, he wasn't a reason for the heroes to do something. He was his own complex emotional character, which makes the movie for me. And
I think also another thing that I really liked about it was that you're bringing together all these different characters who have their own I think we reached a point in the Marvel universe where every time they brought out a new movie, they had to differentiate the heroes in some way. So it was okay, Doctor Strange, the magic hero, Guardians of the Galaxy are sort of goofballs in space, and they allowed them, when they brought them together, to still maintain that kind of individual identity.
Yes.
So I have huge props and respect to the Russo brothers. I was impressed what they did with Civil War, when basically the unofficial third Avengers movie, and what they did here was even more impressive, sort of wrangling all these characters together without them losing their identity, even if they didn't always have particularly big parts. Not everyone enjoyed the same amount of screen time, but the balance I thought was very good.
Yeah, they definitely managed to maintain that balance. And I think if there's anything I disliked, although I understand about the movie, is that they did have to limit screen time for certain characters. Some fan favorite characters barely got a look in, but that's okay, because again, this is only part 1 of 2, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But what I really did dislike, although it is a very minor niggle, again, the CGI in some places, I think that was my only issue that I had with Black Panther, is that the CGI in some places is just so glaringly obvious, and it is so, it does remove you from the situation. Now, when I've been sitting sobbing in the cinema, absolutely bawling my eyes out to have this jarring, very obvious CGI, it kind of detracts from the experience, and the fact that I could see it through all of my tears means that it was very obvious. But I think if I have anything negative to say about the movie, it's that.
I honestly, contrasting perspective, I didn't have any issues with the CGI. What I did have an issue with was that I felt Black Panther's outfit looked like he was wearing a wetsuit. Like it was like a rash vest or something. It was like, I don't know what it was, but there was a very clear difference in his outfit between his solo movie and this. I kept looking at like his neckline, and it was all like loose and funny, and I know that's a minor niggle, but it just, that grated me. It looked like a very poor printed cosplay fabric, and I was like, no.
We have to, if we're complaining about 30 seconds of bad CGI and one superhero outfit that didn't look as on point as it did in the single movie, you can tell we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for dislikes for this movie. It's okay, to be fair, my main, I wouldn't say it was a dislike, but when the credits rolled and my face is covered in tears, the first words out of my mouth were, take it back. I don't like what they've done. I don't like the direction it's gone in, although it's perfectly understandable. It broke my heart and it left me feeling uncomfortable with just how much I felt from this movie. But that's probably just me being incredibly over emotional.
So if you had to score it out of 10,
I will still give it a 9. I'm almost leaning towards a 9.5. It was damn near perfect. Damn near perfect.
Yeah, I'm also a 9, and that is largely because I was just so impressed taking this monstrous project, so many characters, and managing to create a single focused whole. It could have just been this massive mess. It could have taken forever, like, to get where it needed to, but it started off, it set the tone, it set the pace, and it maintained that for the entire 150 minutes, whatever it is. Like, I was never bored, like, at any point during the movie. I was completely engaged, and and as for providing an emotional experience, absolutely a 9 out of 10 for me. And then I think maybe just the last point to, like, without again avoiding spoilers, but the sequel, like, what do you think we can expect from that?
To be honest, I have no idea. The rug was so thoroughly pulled out from underneath me that I have no idea where it's going to go. We do have an idea from set pictures and things like that of the characters that will appear in Infinity War Part 2, the most obvious being Captain Marvel, that we've seen set pictures of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, but beside for that, I'm completely lost. And for having watched these movies for so long and having them get a little bit on the predictable side, this is fantastic. I'm very glad not to know where it's going.
Yeah, I felt like pretty much the same with The Last Jedi. It's like a lot of stuff was wrapped up, and then like a lot of stuff was sort of left open, and it, like, if things had ended there, and this is for Infinity War as well, it would be devastating, but at the same time, like, it formed its own cohesive ending. Exactly like you said, I like the fact that we're going to be clearly waiting for something that I expect will be completely different, and I know the Russo brothers have said that's the reason they're not calling this, well, they shouldn't be calling this Infinity War Part 2, because it is its own different thing. I mean, I think tonally, the structure, everything is going to be quite different for the conclusion. And I love that. I love that it will be so. We're in a stage where it's so unpredictable and we don't know what's coming. So, well done to Marvel.
Yeah, very, very well done. Once again, they prove that that's the kind of cinematic universe we should be seeing on screen. But if you've watched Avengers Infinity War, we'd love to know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't, maybe don't read the comments because there might be spoilers there. We can't guarantee it.
And hopefully we haven't given anything away for you that's not already quite well established.
Yeah.
So yeah, watch it. It's incredible. If you haven't seen it, watch it again. If you want to enjoy more of the detail, I think there's so many nuggets in the dialogue, things that I think once the second part comes out we'll be reflecting back. I think it's a very well woven plot tapestry that's happening. So yeah, I'm excited for next year. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to survive until then, but yeah, hopefully time passes quickly.
So yeah, again, thank you for listening to our ramblings, and we'll be back soon with some other things that we have promised to cover.
Yes.
We'll schedule it in.
It will happen eventually. But yeah, in the interim, thank you for listening, and if you enjoy these random rants, please hit the subscribe button, wherever that is.
Like and subscribe, Tracy. Like
and subscribe.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.